Hello friends, my name is Mohammad Imran. I am a second year MBA student. So in this video, we are going to discuss about rickettsia. So let's start with rickettsia. Rickettsia is an obligate intracellular organism. The second point that we have to remember is it cannot grow on artificial media, but it can grow by inoculation in cell lines, egg or mice. During the earlier time, there were doubt whether it was a virus or bacteria. The points that suggest that it is a bacteria are it has a gram-negative cell wall, it contains both DNA and RNA. The third point it is held back by bacterial filters, and it is susceptible to antimicrobial agents. And the last second point, it multiplies by binary fission and can be seen under light microscope. These points suggest that it is a bacteria, not a virus. Now coming to the antigenic structure that is present in this, the first one is outer membrane protein, OMP antigen. It is species specific. Every species has a different outer membrane protein antigen and it is highly immunogenic. The second one is the most important one, that is lipopolysaccharide antigen, LPS antigen. It is group specific, and the important point here, it is shared by certain strains of protease. So it forms the basis of Weil-Felix reaction. You would study about this later. Now let's study about the pathogenesis. The first point here is transmission. It is transmitted by bite of tick, mite, or by rubbing or scratching of human body loss. And the tick and mite also acts as reservoir. And it is spread through lymphatics. And the target cells of rickettsial infection is endothelial cells. And after spread through lymphatics, it is phagocytosed, and as we know that it is a obligate intracellular organism, so it survives inside the cell by inhibiting phagolysosome fusion, and it multiplies inside the cell, and there is cell to cell spread. The pathogenesis is very simple. Now let's study about this table. This table is very important. The groups of rickettsia, the first one is typhus group, the second one is spotted fever group, and the third one is crup typhus. In typhus group, the species is Rickettsia prowazekii and Rickettsia typhi. These two are very important species, and the disease caused by Rickettsia prowazekii is epidemic typhus and Brill-Zinsser disease, and the vector here is Laos. And the rashes are found all over the body except for palm and sole. So the points we have to remember here is the epidemic typhus is caused by Rickettsia prowazekii and the vector is Laos, and the rashes are found all over the body except palm and sole. The second one in typhus group is Rickettsia typhi. It causes disease endemic typhus, and the vector here is rat flea, and the rashes are more specifically found in trunk area. Now coming to the spotted fever group. The most important one that we have to remember among all these species is Rickettsia rickettsii, because it causes the disease Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and the vector here is tick. And the most important point regarding the rashes, that the rashes are found in extremities and they are hemorrhagic. These are the important points. And now coming to Rickettsia conuri. It causes disease Indian tick typhus, and the vector here is tick. These three we have to just remember the species name, the disease caused by it, and the vector. And Rickettsia africae causes African tick bite fever, and the vector here is tick. And Rickettsia acari, it causes rickettsial pox, and the vector here is mite. Now coming to crup typhus group, and the species here is Orientia tushu gamushi, and it causes disease crup typhus, and the vector here is mite. Among this we have to focus on epidemic typhus, Brill-Zinsser disease, endemic typhus, and Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and rest other we have to just memorize the disease names and the species causing it. Now let's focus on epidemic typhus and endemic typhus. As we know that the epidemic typhus is caused by Rickettsia prowazekii, and whereas the endemic typhus is caused by Rickettsia typhi. The vector here is human body loss, and the vector here is rat flea, and the human body loss transmits the Rickettsia prowazekii by rubbing or by the feces, and the reservoir in endemic typhus is rats. The clinical manifestations are the most important point regarding epidemic typhus are it causes acute febrile disease. So the symptoms here are headache, myalgia, and rashes. As we know that it is found all over the body except face, palm, and sole. Whereas the clinical manifestation of endemic typhus It is similar to epidemic typhus. All the symptoms are similar but milder and rarely fatal. So the mortality rate is very low in endemic typhus, very low or zero, and the rashes are mainly found in the trunk area. And the complication that we are going to see in epidemic typhus is interstitial pneumonitis. The CNS complication that we are going to see is confusion and coma. The second most important point that we have to remember in epidemic typhus is Brill-Zinsser disease. It is a recrudescent illness years after acute epidemic typhus. So it is basically because of reactivation of the latent form that is present in the body even after many years of infection. So if there is a reactivation of that latent form, we can see Brill-Zinsser disease, and the symptoms are very mild and not very fatal. Now coming to the Rocky Mountain spotted fever. It is caused by Rickettsia rickettsii, and the transmission is by bite of infected tick, and tick acts as vector as well as reservoir. Now coming to the clinical manifestation. The clinical manifestations are similar: fever, myalgia, headache, and the rashes are found in extremities and hemorrhagic. The important point we have to remember here is the rash is found in extremities and it is hemorrhagic. Now coming to the complication, we are going to see some CNS complications, hemorrhage and DIC. And the most important point here is it has the highest mortality rate among all rickettsial diseases. Rickettsia rickettsii, which causes Rocky Mountain spotted fever, has the highest mortality rate. Now coming to the lab diagnosis of rickettsia. The first and the most important one we are going to study is Weil-Felix reaction. Weil-Felix reaction is a heterophile agglutination reaction. The principle, as we know that, as I have already mentioned, that the LPS antigen is found in some strains of Proteus strains. So the LPS antigen of rickettsia is shared by some Proteus strains. The antigen that we have to remember is OX19, OX2 and OXK. We have to remember these three antigen: OX19, OX2 and OXK. The Proteus antigens are used to detect rickettsial antibodies in the specimen, in patient specimen. The results of Weil-Felix reaction are the epidemic and endemic typhus. We are going to see an increased OX19 antibody, and in tick-borne spotted fever, that is Rocky Mountain spotted fever, we are going to see an increased OX19 as well as OX2 antibody. In scurf typhus, we are going to only see OXK antibody, and it is negative in rickettsial pox, Bartonellosis and Q fever. So in epidemic and endemic typhus, we are going to see an increased OX19 antibody, whereas in tick-borne spotted fever, we are going to see both OX19 and OX2 antibody, and in scurf typhus, we are going to only see the OXK antibody. It is negative in rickettsial pox, Bartonellosis and Q fever. Now coming to the specific antibody detection test and the indirect immunofluorescence assay, it is used for confirmation, and the other tests are CFT complement fixation test and IgM capture ELISA. Now coming to the other methods, in other method the most important one here is Neal-Moser reaction, but it is outdated, not used nowadays. In Neal-Moser reaction, the specimen is inoculated intraperitoneally into the male guinea pigs. So when the specimen is inoculated into the male guinea pigs, if it is Rickettsia rickettsii, we are going to see scrotal necrosis in male guinea pig. If it is Rickettsia prowazekii, we are going to see only fever, no testicular inflammation. Now coming to Rickettsia connori and Rickettsia typhi, we are going to see both fever and positive tunica reaction. So positive tunica reaction is testicular inflammation. In Rickettsia rickettsii, there is only scrotal necrosis. In Rickettsia prowazekii, only fever, no inflammation, no testicular inflammation. In Rickettsia connori and Rickettsia typhi, there is fever plus positive tunica reaction, that is testicular inflammation. The other test we can do in rickettsial infection is histological examination. We can isolate the rickettsia by cell lines, Vero, primary, HeLa and egg yolk sac and animal guinea pig, as we have studied in Neal-Moser reaction, and molecular test PCR. Thank you for watching. Hope you like this video. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button for more videos related to medical field.